You've earned the right to be happy in your life, and retirement should bring the freedom to do things you've always dreamed of. But if fears about money are holding you back, you're not alone. What if I told you there's a smart way for you to build wealth for the rest of your life and leave a legacy to your loved ones? You can live comfortably as you always have and continue to build a strong financial future.
This is something that's relatively simple, inexpensive, and is a way to secure your financial future.
Adiel Gorel is the CEO of ICG, a prominent single-family home investment firm in the San Francisco Bay Area. For more than 30 years, he has been changing the lives of thousands of people. He is an author and lectures worldwide on the power of U.S. rental homes to create a secure financial future. Through ICG, he has personally invested in hundreds of homes and has overseen the purchase of nearly 10,000 homes for thousands of busy people, transforming their future.
You don't have to know a lot about rental homes to do this. With little effort, not very much money, and very little risk, you can become a remote control wealth builder.
Now, these benefits are available to you too. In this program, Adiel is going to show you how to easily and simply use single-family homes, one of the most powerful wealth builders available, to help you build a safe, secure financial future. You don't need any special knowledge, and you can begin quickly just by following Adiel's expert advice. Here's Adiel Gorel.
Hi. Thank you very much. Welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for being here. It's my joy to be here with you. Let me ask you a question. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you feel ready for retirement? Very good. Everyone needs a plan for the future. Our future may last longer than we expect. We all need to be financially ready regardless of how long we may live. If you own a home, I hope to make the case today that you should buy another one as a rental. If you don't own a home, I'm still going to make the case that you should buy a home as a rental, and maybe another one, and possibly another one. Am I crazy? Probably, but let me tell you how single-family rental homes in affordable markets can change your financial future. I was born into a family of real estate developers. There were two sentences, even as a little boy, that stuck in my mind. Both of them were accompanied by the following hand motion. Here's the first one. Why didn't we buy these homes 10 years ago? They were so cheap, we could have done so. And here's the second one. Why did we sell these homes 10 years ago? Now they're so expensive, we could have been. So as a little boy, my family walked around with dents in their forehead, and I got the idea that owning and holding rental homes is probably a very good thing. I came to Silicon Valley to finish up my graduate studies in electrical engineering. I went to Stanford University, I studied there, I taught a few courses, and then I got my first job as a research engineer at Hewlett-Packard Labs, which is very near Stanford, by the way. I was one of the very youngest people. In my group, there were many people who looked a lot like I look now. So once I got to know my colleagues, I saw that they all follow the same financial profile. Here's an engineer working the long Silicon Valley weeks, getting the good Silicon Valley salary, doing it for 20 years, 25 years. And what do they have to show for it financially? Very typically, they own their own home, 2 or 3 cars, and a 401k. That was it. So I said, you know, I don't want to look like this 20 or 30 years from now. I better invest in something. Obviously, because of my background and my family background, I started looking at rental homes right there in Silicon Valley. That was in the 1980s. In the 1980s, obviously, the numbers were much lower, but nevertheless, the rents in Silicon Valley were way too low compared with the prices. So it didn't work. So I said, should I go and buy somewhere else? However, at that time, there was a rule that everyone followed. Only buy real estate within 30 minutes drive of where you live. And everyone followed the rule. I said, who made up this rule? I said, what is this? I said, no, I'm not going by that rule. I saw that if I went on a plane and I went for about an hour and a half, I would hit a smaller city called Las Vegas. Las Vegas was about 450,000 strong at that time, and people were predicting crazy stuff about its future, saying it was going to grow to be 1 million people by the year 2000, which sounded incredible. By the way, it had grown to 1.25 million by the year 2000. So when I went to Vegas, here is what I saw. Similar single-family homes to the ones I was looking at in Silicon Valley that cost 4 times less, and yet they rented for more than half as much. Those were much better numbers. That worked really well. So I started going to Vegas almost every weekend. It took me a couple of months to get my bearings together, but once I got going, I had a local property management firm take care of the homes, the rentals, the maintenance, because I was living far away, and then a broker to find me the homes. And at the end of about 1.25 years or so, I actually owned 22 homes in Las Vegas, rental homes. During that period of time, my Silicon Valley friends were mercilessly ribbing me and making fun of me. You don't know what you're doing, you're breaking the rule, you're going out of state. But after about 1 year or so, these logical engineers started to see that this made sense. And they said, you know what? We see what you're doing. We want to do the same thing. I said, sure, be my guest. No, you're already there with your managers and your brokers. You know what you're doing. Why don't you lead us? So I found myself leading a group of maybe 20 engineers, and we bought 250 homes or so in Las Vegas over a period of about 3.5 years. We did not buy them as a group. She bought 4 homes, he bought 3 homes, I bought another 2. But because I led this whole group, we were a large client. When we talked, the service providers listened. That's a nice thing to have. Around 1987, beginning of 80, the Vegas market started to go up rapidly, made it harder to buy. We didn't sell. We have already seen that these properties could change our futures. We kept them. And I took the entire group, moved it to Phoenix, Arizona. And all the way from 1988, the end of, until the end of 2004, and I don't think I need to tell you why we stopped buying at the end of 2004, thousands of investors by now bought 3,000 homes in Phoenix. During that time, interest grew in what we were doing. I started getting media coverage and international attention. Finally, this was way too much fun. And also, I saw that I was changing people's lives. So I left Silicon Valley, and I started our company, ICG. And over the past 3 decades, thousands of investors worldwide bought a little more than 10,000 homes as rentals. That changed the lives of thousands of people. I want to change the futures of many more people. That's why I'm here. Everyone can do this. I've helped busy Silicon Valley professionals, teachers, doctors, nurses, lawyers, massage therapists, and foreigners who barely speak English, yet own multiple rental homes in the United States. I myself lead by example. I kept buying homes for myself all these years. I use property managers. I can tell you, if I were taking care of my own homes, I wouldn't be on the stage speaking to you right now. I'd be fixing a toilet at this very moment. But I don't manage my own properties. I use local teams to manage them, as can you. You can do the same thing. No matter how busy or inexperienced you are, the method I created, remote controlled retirement riches, can work for you. I've been doing this for over 3 decades. If there are ways of doing it wrong, I've probably tried them before. But I figured out how it can be done in the simplest, most effective way for building your wealth. If you live in an expensive area, you can buy in areas where the prices are affordable and the rents are good. Since local property managers handle the homes, you don't have to. That's a key thing to realize. This is relevant at every stage of life. You can retire well and secure a powerful financial future. You can send your kids or grandkids to college. Let's take an example. Let's say that you have a 1-year-old grandkid. The whole family is worried, how much is the college going to be when they're 17 years from now? Scary. Suppose you buy one rental home and you get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on it, and you pay off the mortgage in 17 years by making a little extra principal payment every month. Now the kid is 18 and the home does not have a mortgage. Free and clear. It can pay for your kid's college education. When I want to drive this point home a little stronger, I say, do you want to send your kid to Harvard with a Porsche? Buy 2 homes. You can retire well. Each such free and clear home, once they don't have a mortgage anymore, or when the mortgage is really small, is a building block. Let's take an example. Suppose you buy a $170,000 home, and by the way, there are places in the country you can buy quality, new homes for $170,000 in good areas. So you buy a $170,000 home, and it rents for about $1,400 a month. Once the home is paid off in your future, you still are going to have to pay property taxes, insurance, property management, repairs, and vacancies as they come. I can tell you from vast experience, this home that rents for $1,400 is going to net, after everything, even the unexpected, $850 a month. This $850 a month is inflation-proof, because rents go up as inflation moves. $850 a month happens to be $10,000 per year. So you can look at this home as one building block. When the home is free and clear, this building block, this home, will give you $10,000 a year, inflation-proof, for the rest of your life. And now let me ask you, how many such building blocks do you think you need? 1, 2, 4, 7, 12? All very doable. Very doable. And if the notion of buying 5 homes sounds crazy to you, let me just say, buying 5 homes at $170,000 each is the equivalent of buying a left garage door in Silicon Valley. It's not very daunting. And you don't have to do it all in one shot. In fact, you shouldn't. Gradual, work into it, get your comfort level. Buy your first rental home and then rest. See how it rents, see how it operates, see what it's like. Once it gets boring, which usually happens pretty fast, buying home number 2 is much easier. It's just a repetition of the same process. I bet by now you probably think you need a lot of money to do this, or that you should have started it a lot sooner. You are never too old to start. Life expectancy constantly goes up. Technology is making life expectancy zoom up very fast. If you are 55-year-old now, you'll be very happy when you're 68 if you buy these rental homes and hold on to them. If you're a 65-year-old now, you'll be very happy that you did this when you're 78. And you will become 78 anyway, barring anything unforeseen. But what a difference. I've seen many cases of 2 friends who came to me 15, 16 years ago. One of them bought rental homes, one of them didn't. Financially, they look so different 15 years later. The life transformation possible this way is enormous. So how do you get there? Well, to start, throughout this program, I'm going to give you 5 invest then rest tips to help you make the best and safest choices for your investment. Here is your first invest then rest tip. The best rental property is a single-family home. Why single-family home? Single-family homes are the most liquid real estate there is. When you go to sell your home, and it's a single-family home, everyone in the marketplace is your potential buyer. Single-family homes are still the American dream, even though in very expensive areas like San Francisco, New York City, and many other such markets, the dream is not that attainable. Nevertheless, in many large quality metropolitan areas in the United States, it's affordable and attainable, and they rent well. Single-family homes can be financed with a very special loan, which can change your financial future. Those of you with a very keen sense of hearing may have detected the fact that I speak with an accent. To fully appreciate what you can get on single-family rental homes in the United States, you almost have to speak with an accent. Because if you don't, it means you're born here, and you don't see it. That's all you know. It's not different than anything that you've always seen. I'm talking about the 30-year fixed rate loan. So your first reaction is, so what else is new? Exactly. From what I understand, there are 210 countries in the world, roughly. In 209 of them, from what I understand, this does not exist. It only exists in one country, the United States of America, and if you think about what 30-year fixed really means, it means, as the name implies, it is, no surprise, fixed. The monthly payment and the mortgage balance never, ever keep up with the cost of living. They never, ever keep up with inflation. That's insanity. So let me tell you what it sounds like when I'm in another country. Let's say that I've been invited to speak in Europe, and here I am speaking to the European crowd, and I'm telling them, my American investors can get loans that are 30 years fixed. The reaction I get is almost violent. It's not pleasant. Usually goes along these lines. With all due respect, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. I can't believe I drove 100 kilometers to hear you speak, because this is utter nonsense. No bank is going to be stupid enough to lend you money where the mortgage payment will never change with inflation. We know you have inflation in the United States. We know that 30 years ago you went to the movies for $2 and now it's $14. We know that 30 years ago when you bought a postage stamp, it maybe was 4 cents. Now it's more like 50 cents. You want to tell us that everything in the US economy constantly changes with inflation except for one thing? Your mortgage payment? If that were to be true, they say, which obviously it can't, it'll mean that inflation constantly erodes the real value of the buying power of these dollars. 19 years from now, you can just buy, probably, dinner for 2 for that amount. That's ridiculous. Let me even make it harder for you. It's not only the mortgage payment, it's the mortgage balance. The balance never keeps up with inflation, and you're paying it down with principal too. Let me tell you how it is in our country, they say. In our country, you get a mortgage for $500,000, and let's say the payment is $2,000 a month. And you pay on a monthly basis like clockwork for, let's say, 12 years. And at the end of 12 years, now your mortgage balance is $900,000. And your payment could be $4,000 a month. Why? It kept up with inflation like everything else. It's only fair. It can still buy the same stuff. It's just a different name. It's the name 900 instead of 500. They could have called it Kevin. Then they say, clearly you see how stupid that is. Clearly you see how impossible that is. Ergo, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, that's a very powerful argument. So I say, I see that you have your smartphones. Do you mind kind of looking it up? And they do. And then comes the moment that I call the sheepish face moment. Well, the next question is always the same. If the Americans can get this unbelievable gift, why don't the Americans run out and get as many of these gifts as possible? My answer is always the same. I don't know, but I did. There are two forces that start operating from day one when you buy a rental home and finance it with a 30-year fixed rate loan. Force number one, inflation starts and it never stops eroding your loan, even while you sleep. That's a great thing. The second one, and I know it sounds a little bit cliche, your tenant is paying the mortgage off for you. Between these two forces, that can make a huge difference in your financial future. Yeah? When you get a 30-year fixed rate loan, inflation becomes your friend. Now your loan is losing, not your buying power, your loan. That's a phenomenal thing. As for whether you already have to be rich, no, not at all. I will discuss the exact numbers in detail in the next segment. Let me give you an example. I helped Peter, a school teacher from New York City, buy homes. Peter sent me an email about 6 months ago. He's now 79, retired, living close to the beach in Florida. He owns 6 free and clear homes. And of course, they are the cornerstone of his retirement. Peter never dreamt that he could retire like this. He's extremely thankful. You don't have to know a lot about rental homes to do this. With little effort, not very much money, and very little risk, you can become a remote control wealth builder. You don't have to be an expert. It's okay if you're busy. I will make it even smoother and easier if you follow the guidelines that I'm sharing with you. And the ones I'm going to give you next can make all the difference. First, I want to give you a quick recap of what we talked about in the first segment. As we discussed, life expectancy is rapidly rising, and making your money last through a potentially very long life is of paramount importance. The combination of buying quality single-family rental homes in good areas, in affordable markets, coupled with the astounding 30-year fixed-rate loan, which never keeps up with inflation, meaning inflation constantly erodes the buying power of that payment and making it really lower, that together can dramatically transform your financial future. We talked about how you can create a powerful retirement covering any life expectancy and send kids or grandkids to college by buying rental single-family homes. Now we will discuss where these markets are and the criteria of which homes to buy. So here is your second invest then rest tip. Buy in large metropolitan areas. Large metropolitan areas have the safety in numbers. They have more jobs, more employment. If a factory goes out of business in a small town, it could have a devastating effect on the town. In a large city, the effects can be very small, or at least a lot smaller. In large cities are many amenities, education, culture, business that attracts even more people, making it even larger. So a good way to get going is to start in a large metropolitan area. Does buying a rental home for investment feel really out of reach if you're on the verge of retirement or already retired? It shouldn't be. It's a way to secure your financial future and leave a legacy to your family as well. My oldest investor was Rob from Mill Valley, California. Rob started buying single-family rental homes, true story here, when he was 86. Granted, he was also thinking about his kids and grandkids, but Rob was a vigorous, strong man, and as it happened, 10 years later, at 96, was still going strong, His financial future changed completely thanks to these homes. Then there was Max. Max started buying at age 77, and he earmarked each of the 3 homes that he bought for a grandkid, 3 of them. I later saw the changes in these young people's lives that these rental homes had made. But you can start at any age. If you are 60-year-old today, you will truly appreciate having done this when you turn 75 or 77, especially, again, with life expectancy skyrocketing due to genetics, biotech, nanotech, and other rapidly developing technologies everywhere. Life expectancies may very well be much more than we think. Many of us have the vague notion, oh, I'm probably going to live to be in my 80s. Well, maybe not me. I eat well and I exercise 90. That's how we think, generally. You may be surprised. It may end up being a lot longer than that. And you got to be ready. I'm from Silicon Valley. I'm still connected to and interested in the research that goes on there. These incredible advances may literally obliterate our notion of what a normal lifespan might be. And by the way, they may extend our lifespan not just in years, but in health and vigor. Even in 2018, there is technology to edit and change our genes. It's called CRISPR. That's an acronym, CRISPR. It's not commercially available widely yet, but within the next decade, it surely will be. Just that alone, being able to delete bad genes and change them into that can extend your lifespan by at least a decade, and a healthy, strong decade at that. That's only one thing. So your lifespan may be much longer than you think. Now let me ask you this. How exactly were you planning to have enough money to last that long? How exactly were you going to finance that sailing trip at age 102? Right? It is really a problem. This is why I'm here. I've developed a safe, structured plan that can make getting security in retirement easier and fun. Rental single-family homes, especially with a 30-year fixed-rate loan, I can't say it enough, that never changes with inflation, are an excellent driver for growth for your future. They will provide the building blocks for a good retirement, a plentiful retirement, no matter what your lifespan might be. Single-family rental homes are just the mechanics of how to finance your future. I'm trying to convey this in a fun and entertaining way, as much as I can. But this is a very serious and very important issue. This is really not a talk about rental homes. This is a talk about taking control of your future. Thanks for joining me today. Click the subscribe button for more video on real estate. Got a question or comment? I love questions and comments. Leave yours below. And here's another video you've got to see.